Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Ciel DeGuglielmo. My guest on the podcast today is Victoria Hammond. She is the founder and owner of Master Soft Furnishers, established in 2001, specializing in soft furnishings and interior design. Her award-winning enterprise is internationally renowned for training over 1,000 individuals in the professional making of soft furnishings, many of whom have gone on to establish and successfully run their own businesses. Passionate about her craft, Victoria combines skills passed down through generations in her family with extensive industry experience. She is dedicated to preserving traditional sewing techniques while inspiring and supporting students at her academy to achieve their creative and professional goals. At the Academy, students can choose from a variety of in-person certified courses, ranging from a one-day Roman blind or shade workshop to a comprehensive 17-day Diploma in professional curtain making and soft furnishings. All of Victoria's courses are delivered in a welcoming and inspiring training environment. Additionally, the Academy offers professionally filmed, user-friendly, online certified courses that provide thorough and accessible instruction. The Academy also hosts visiting tutors who teach their own specialties, further enriching the learning experience. It was really so fun for me to meet Victoria. Two of my previous guests upcoming guests have mentioned Victoria to me. So I was introduced to Victoria virtually and we had a conversation on Zoom. And I knew she'd be so interesting for the podcast listeners to hear from. I really hope you enjoy hearing from her today. Victoria, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And I'm saying morning, but it is not morning where you are.
No, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's getting dark.
Okay. Yes. That part of this time of the year I'm not a big fan of. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the listeners, and tell us a little bit about where you are in the world and what you do for a living.
So my name's Victoria Hammond. My business is Master Soft Furnishers. It's been going now for about 23 years. There's a lot that's happened in that 23 years.
We'll cover all of that.
So I'm from, I don't know if you've heard of Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire's near London. It's sort of northwest London.
Okay.
Right in the countryside. So it's quite nice. You're near London, you're near, all the main airports and as it were, and it's like a half an hour's train journey into London.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to have the best of the both worlds here.
I was going to say, but you have the countryside, which, depending on your frame of reference, some people love the city, some people love a more country style living, but you do have the best of both worlds if you're only a half-hour ride from there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's great. It's really, the lanes are really small. It's quite, I know when people come from the States, they can't believe how tiny the lanes are, but you kind of you grow up in those lanes and you learn how to navigate them with other cars and horses and whatever else is in the lanes.
It sounds lovely to me.
Trees, yeah.
So tell us about what your business is and how you got to it. How did you get started in soft furnishings, and then how did you develop the business you're running now?
So I started the business. I was just trying to work out. I was 27 years old, so quite young. But I grew up with curtain making and soft furnishings. My mother, I'd really take after my mother. So she used to work from home out of a double garage, and I would just be in that environment with her. She was really, really talented. So not only could she make soft furnishings, she could upholster as well. She was always sewing. So I think I was just born into that.
Okay.
And really, I was also really creative. So I remember being at school being very creative and doing an art foundation course, which is like a year's course, trying to work out which direction I'd like to take in the art world.
Okay.
We found that it was really textiles. That's really my interest, fabrics, printed textiles, and then went on to study a degree in textile design,
Okay.
specialising in printed textiles. There was various options. You could study weave or embroidery or even fashion as well. But I found, print screening, working with fabrics was really, and interior design rather than fashion was my preference.
Okay.
And then went and worked in the industry. I worked for Pierre Frey, which is a French fabric company in London, and then went on to work as a PA to a creative director for a branding company for a few years, which was great fun in London. It was a really great environment, made lots of friends there, and still am friends with people that I work with. And then really just decided to go traveling. So I went traveling when I was about 25, 26 for a year. And then I went to, so I was sort of all over the place. I went to Spain as well. My mum lived in Spain at the time. So I worked for, I was a PA to, at Valderrama Golf Club, as a PA to the president there. And then really just wanted to work within interiors with fabrics. So I actually got a job out there with an interior design company and really, really enjoyed it. It's more as a sales assistant, as it were.
Okay.
But the soft furnishing was always around. And then met some people out there. A friend of mine was out there who was working in interior design, introduced me to Builder, other interior designers. And I'd seen a course advertised in the back of a magazine. I think it was Homes and Gardens at the time, to learn how to make soft furnishings professionally. It was Cambridge Fine Furnishings, so people might remember in those days Cambridge Fine Furnishings. And so I came back to the UK and did that. Studied for a while and then started my business. So went straight into starting the business. But I already had made contacts with builders and friends, and
Right.
it introduced me to some interior designers. I just went really working, just threw myself into it. I really wanted to do it. Really, I was quite naive because I was only 27. So it was a lot of research and trial and error. But then, I just worked solidly for several years, and I had on some great projects in London. Lucky to be close to London.
Right.
And I remember taking actually from my course samples, which is similar to what I teach people now, but curtain samples, cushion samples, blinds samples, and just taking them all around London to show different designers and getting work that way.
Yeah.
And then ended up working with quite a few designers ongoing, but also doing my own private work as well. Just working solidly in the industry, getting lots of experience.
Victoria, it's whenever someone shares their background before they got started in this industry, I'm always a little bit amazed at how many things kind of lead us to where we end up. And it feels like all of those jobs that you had kind of built on the skills that must have made it, correct me if I'm wrong, easier when you did open your own business. You may have been a little naive, but you did have some knowledge of how businesses worked. You had worked for Pierre Frey. You had seen different parts of the business. How helpful was that for you?
It was great. I mean, really, in those days, people didn't really know how to use computers. I mean, it was really... so it was, I quickly had to learn administration and
Right.
really, so that from a secretarial point of view, as it were, it was great when running my own business because I knew how to work with that side of it. So it's really also working with people. I'd already worked with a lot of different types of people within those companies. So,
Right.
it's really having that what's the word? Just being able to relate to all different types of people in the trade and also clients as well.
Okay.
So that really helped, having been in that environment in London.
Right.
But yeah, it's
As you were starting your business, did you have a preference for working with interior designers or your private clients?
I loved both. I just loved the whole making side of it. It was financially it would be better to have private clients, but then the interior designers brought with them, amazing properties to work on, and it was ongoing work. Um, and also such beautiful fabrics to work with, really,
Right.
it's because they're choosing obviously a room scheme and fabrics to work with as well. So, but
Mhm.
the private side, I love doing the designing myself. So
Okay.
yeah, so it gradually moved into I was doing more than soft furnishings. I was choosing, paint colors for people, rugs. That I think when you're already in someone's house and they trust you and you've been working with them for a while, they ask your advice on, paintings or
Yes.
choosing a color for their kitchen or um so yeah, it moved, and I really enjoyed that side of it as well. It's really just the whole soft furnishings interior design
Yeah.
side of it.
So
Um
that always intrigues me because that is a part that I don't feel confident about. And so I stopped doing, we call it retail work here in the States. You're calling it private work.
yes.
I would freeze. People would say, "Well, what color rug do you think?" I don't know. That I'm not good at that. And I found that working with interior designers, I had all of those same benefits that you mentioned. They chose beautiful fabrics. They had everything in mind that they wanted for the room. And I could assist with decisions about the window treatments or pillows or cushions or whatever. But all of that deciding was not on my shoulders. I did not enjoy that part. So
Really.
I love hearing, and I can see it in your
And
face, like you're just lighting up when you're talking about it. So I find that
yeah, I
fascinating.
really enjoyed. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
how
design side for me was really important. I really wanted to be involved in the whole design and the whole scheme,
okay.
recommendation of, fabrics, trimmings, everything really.
Right. And
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said for being in the position to make the suggestions about what we like to make in our workrooms, what we like to fabricate, what we fabricate well. Not that any of us would ever make a suggestion for something that didn't fit in a room, but sometimes we walk into a room and we're working with a client and we're like, oh, this is a perfect place for, swags or whatever it happens to be. We don't do that many of them these days, but that is not an option as much for me because the designer already has a vision for the room. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really I really don't get any say in that much of it, but I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
But then you love working with that, do you? So you love working with the once it's
Exactly,
stable and love, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued that you started out in business for yourself. Now you're doing private work, you're working with interior designers, and you're saying you love that part of it, but then you started to teach the making of.
Yes. Yeah. So the business, it really it grew so that I had people working in the workroom.
Mhm.
Um, it was really busy, and obviously I was teaching people, training people in the workroom as
Okay.
well. And then it's really it just happened. I think it was during the financial crisis. Remember 2008,
Mhm.
and there, I'd worked solidly for 7 years in the industry, and it's like it was time to reflect about what I really would like to do. And I remember being actually on holiday with my family in Portugal at the time, and it kind of came to me like a light bulb. And I remember talking to my mum about it, who also in the industry, um, and just said I'd really like to start teaching. I'd really like to train people how to do this. I really like working with people. Um, and that's just how it started. That really had to find a way of making and having income as well, because it went
Mhm.
really quiet. So I've been working on a huge project, um, with a property developer, and it all fell through for them as well during the credit crunch. So it was really time to sort of sit back and think, how am I going to be able to make some money here, but do something, still continue doing what I enjoy doing. So so I literally just sat down and wrote a training manual.
Okay.
And then advertised on Google, on AdWords, the courses,
Okay.
and then started to get clients that way. I was lucky that I had a really nice workroom set up on a farm location, so it was great for people to come there and enjoy the whole environment. It was a horse farm with donkeys and everything. So yeah, it's really just evolved from there. The school evolved. Now it's the academy, and I literally haven't come up for air since then.
So that was like the 2007, 2008, around that time?
Yeah, I think it was 2008. I remember I started teaching 2008, early 2009.
Okay. So it is, that's a number of years now. You're right. And if you haven't come up for air in all that time, it clearly was a good choice.
Yeah. But it was great. There was a demand. No one else was really teaching, doing what I was doing. There was a market for it. Mm-hmm. And also there was, people were suffering financially. So it was a way of, perhaps women coming along, they're wanting to make a living, to support the family.
Right.
So it was always very much professional focus right from the start with the training. How you can, how to make professional curtains and blinds and soft furnishings rather than just as a hobby.
Yes, you mentioned that when we talked before we recorded, and I literally wrote that down because I thought the impact of that for the people who were coming to you to take classes was really important. There's nothing wrong with having a hobby or learning to sew or making things for yourself. Many of us got started in this industry because of that exact reason. But I just loved that you focused it that way, wanting to support other people being able to earn a living with this.
Absolutely. It was really, it's really been able to share, and that's what I still really enjoy doing, is just sharing, just to show people the proper way of doing it. Really just, I can see people who, they just love sewing, they love doing it. They dream of doing something like this, and if they can make a living out of it as well, it's so inspiring to see the change in people. So yeah.
And it's interesting to me, Victoria, because I heard about you from two separate people, one in the States and one in Canada, and I believe they've taken classes from you, Angie.
Absolutely.
And Claire.
Yeah.
So people are traveling to you. This isn't, I'm thinking, it's convenient because you're not too far out of London because there's more people there, but people are coming from all over the world to take classes from you. So how did you, word of mouth will get you a certain amount, but how did you build the business? How did you allow people to find you in Canada and the United States?
I really think because it's so, I think because it's been there for so long. I had a good positioning in Google anyway on the search engine. There wasn't much competition back then. There is now. And actually a lot of people that I've trained as well, which is great to see, people coming. But I think it's just really a good website, just being very clear about what you'd like to deliver, the course program, course photographs and reviews are really important.
Okay.
And just a very easy to read website really helps. So I would say most business comes through the search engine.
Okay.
That way. So people are, that's how it's, but then, as time grows, you say it's then recommendations and people hear about the brand, as it were.
And talk about it, because that's how I found out about you, because they're talking about
how did you start your business? Yeah. Kind of thing. Yeah.
So you also mentioned to me before we started recording that you are still running your workroom and you are still doing projects. So two questions. How are you managing that? Because that's two very different experiences. preparing to teach a class is a whole different skill set. And then you're also still creating products for clients who are paying you. So how
Yeah.
are you managing that? That's the first part of the question.
I think it's really I really like to keep my hand in the whole making side of it. It's really important to do that and to show also the students that you're doing that, but also to be aware of what's going on around you as well.
Right.
But it's really, I think, again, there was another challenge. So there was COVID that happened, which really, before COVID, the business was really quite grown really big.
Mm-hmm.
And then since COVID, it has been a question of rebuilding the business again.
Right.
But, it's really, in itself, that's the challenge really, is how do you, when you're running a business, how do you manage everything?
Right.
There's working with other tutors, there's other support like website designers, people that I've built relationships with over the years, but it's building a team around you.
Right.
Yeah, you need help sometimes, you need to delegate. And that's where so trying to run both the working with the clients and also but the clients understand. They understand that if you're running a diploma course for a month, then they'll just wait for their soft furnishings.
Okay.
More important, particularly with private as retail, as you say, it's more important that they'll have those in their home rather than immediately having some curtains and blinds fitted. They will wait for something like someone waits for a good builder, as it were.
Right.
So, yeah,
It's so interesting because I think we've forgotten in our industry that we are not Amazon and we're not supposed to deliver immediately, and that if it's communicated well and the experience is a good one, people are willing to wait for something that's custom. And I see
custom's the word, bespoke.
You use the word bespoke more in the UK, but I think that some of us have forgotten that. And it's okay to remind people that, yes, I am a single person in some cases or a small business, and it will take us some time to get to this, but that's part of the allure of it. Not everyone can afford that. Not everyone has it. But I think we have this sense of urgency from the maker standpoint that we need to compete with the people who are turning things out and delivering them overnight. And
absolutely,
that's not who we are.
No, and it's understanding the work that's involved in it, the time, why it's, someone that's turning out work overnight, there's not going to be that that skill in the makeup.
Or the quality.
And the quality, it's the quality really. The hand sewing takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It's made with love, everything.
Yes.
It's really, so I think once you explain that to people, and it's amazing when people do come on the courses that, so many people say the same thing on the courses, but they say, we can't believe the amount of work that goes into this. And then they can see the end product that they've created. Yeah. And now they understand. But then it's great for them to take away those samples and show potential clients of theirs, to show them, the work that's involved in it. So people will wait because they understand that, it's something that's got to be created, but it's, there's big companies out there. We've got a big company called Premier Choice here. I don't know if you heard of them. But
I'm not familiar with it.
They do a really quick lead time and they work with a lot of interior designers, but it's just a different product.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is a very different product.
Yeah.
So in all of that, have you ever considered quitting? Because you've been through the downturn of the economy and a pandemic in the same business. So I'm a little curious about that.
It's been tough at times. But I just can't imagine myself doing anything else. It's part of my makeup. It's really, I'm all the time trying to think of ways how to improve the business, which direction to go. And so if I am feeling it's really going in the wrong direction, or what do I do, or how can I maintain, how can I keep, leading in the industry, as it were? How can I, it's just all about learning as well. You just learn as you go along. But it's really, sometimes I have thought it would be much easier to go and work for a company and maybe with your expertise and have a guaranteed salary and
Right.
everything else. But I mean, I work around a family. I've got a son as well, a young son, my 11-year-old son.
Mhm.
So it's not easy for me to go out and find a full-time job. Yeah,
Right.
it's not. So
And
this
after
is what's
working
great
for
about.
yourself for so long, many of my guests have said it, and I've said it myself. I would not make a good employee anymore. I'm very spoiled in being able to adjust my um, schedule and my working time around whatever else is important to me. My children are not at home anymore, but when they were, I could very easily work around their schedule. And I don't know of too many jobs where that's easy to do. And now I'm just too opinionated about what I should be doing. So I don't think I'd make a good employee anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I totally agree. I just can't. It's just you can. I mean, you work hard when, as you know, when you run your own
Yes, you do.
business, but you're your own boss.
Yes.
You can plan a holiday, you can plan time with your family. Maybe you have to work in the evenings when they're in bed or whatever. But it's family's so important.
Mhm.
If you have a family, it's really, in order to be able to do that and to work from home is great.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
All of the above.
yeah. Yeah, less travel time, but
Yes.
yeah.
So I ask this question often, and we kind of covered it a little bit, but if you were not doing this, what other career would you see yourself in?
Um, that's kind of it's hard to answer that again because I just can't imagine myself not doing this.
Right.
I think it would be um maybe just more to take some time out to be focused more on being creative,
Hmm.
like painting, traveling. I'd love to travel more. I used to travel a lot.
Okay.
Um, but really, I mean, I really enjoy the psychology side of working with people.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe something in that industry. Maybe working with younger people as well, creative wise. I mean, I can imagine working in a school or.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I've often thought about it, and I think it's really it's that same. What I'd like to work with people. To help people,
Yeah.
to inspire people. From a creative point of view. I think,
Okay. I had made a note when you and I spoke about a week or two ago, and you said something about the teaching part of it when the light bulb goes on for your students. What is that like for you? And because you talked about just a couple minutes ago them understanding all of the work that goes into this beautiful thing that they're now going to take home and they have a sample of. But you also said to me, like the light goes on and your face lit up when you were telling me that. So
yeah,
tell me
absolutely.
about what that's like for you.
Well, it's really a lot of the time they'll turn up and they just don't know what to expect when they come on a course. They've seen the course program, and it's really, they really want to try, so they really want to, work hard and to on the course.
Hmm.
And it's almost like they're following instructions and just like, oh, wow, I've created a double hem, and they've always wondered how to do that.
Right.
I've done a mitre. I've made a mitre, and it's not, it's a great mitre, and they can
Hmm.
see, they suddenly just seeing, this is when it starts happening, that it's the actual, like, it's just amazing. They just feel amazing that they've produced this product, as it were. They've
Right.
created. So, and you do see them after, almost when they've got the sample and they're showing their sample, just like their faces are just so happy. It's
Right.
really, yeah, it's been able to create, I've been shown how to create something like that. And then they're given really comprehensive manual as well. So they just know that they can go away and create that again. It's
Right. Right. And
yeah,
and that's a part of education that a lot of people don't understand, just like people don't understand the amount of work that goes into creating a custom drapery or curtain or window treatment.
yeah,
You, as the educator, take a lot of time to put together that comprehensive material for them to do. And it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
To allow someone to walk away from your course and be able to duplicate what they've done is really quite remarkable.
It is, and people learn in different ways.
Yes.
They learn. When you're teaching, they'll listen to you, or they'll need to write. To see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're going away with a manual. Sometimes when people are reading, they're not learning so much as if they're watching as well.
Right.
So, but they can remember how they did it. So I always recommend that they practice.
Right.
Well. But we filmed the courses as well, professionally filmed the courses. So there's also the courses are available online as well. So there's also the opportunity for them to watch it step by step as well.
Okay.
It's really it's just amazing to see them. So, because they've maybe dreamt, some people can book courses quite quickly, but some people have been thinking about it for years.
Yes.
Do it and not necessarily knowing whether it's the right way to go or whether to leave their job, or maybe they're going to try it out. Lots of people come on the course and they're not sure if they want to do it professionally or not. And then it's so great to see at the end of the first 5-day course, they're just so excited about, starting a business. They've made their mind up. They've already assessed the room that they're going to have their curtain table, or they're maybe talking about their partner or husband, which space can we make this happen?
Okay.
They're going out in the evenings, maybe to a restaurant or somewhere, and looking at windows differently. Yeah, touching the curtains and blinds.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, that's a light bulb moment. It's just at the end of the course, they feel that suddenly they can do something that they really want to do.
Okay.
It's been wanting to do.
I love that. I want to jump in and take a moment to thank the sponsors who make it possible for me to bring you the podcast each week. My sponsors are people in the industry that I have personally had a connection to, purchased from, or used their services. So it makes it really easy for me to tell you about them and the great things that they have to offer. Because I feel so strongly about education in our industry, I'm thrilled that as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, I can use the resources of the library to help support the podcast. The library hosts the industry's largest curated collection of educational resources for the custom home furnishings professional. Membership to the library gives you access to a wealth of downloadable reference materials, videos, live events, as well as a community of support to help you develop your design, sales, and fabrication skills, and to grow or start a business. Join the library today at csfrl.org. Angels Linings would like to invite you to become part of their family. With reputable lining comes exceptional customer service. Trust them with your linings like I do. You get 2 Tootsie Pops with every bolt of lining you receive. For smiles, satisfaction, and a sugar kick all around, call Angels Linings at 1-800-450-9368. The Workroom Channel is the premier online training provider for professional fabrication skills. Go to theworkroomchannel.com to browse the selection of anytime access courses created by industry experts. Watch detailed demonstration videos, download companion materials, and participate in private course discussion boards with your instructor and classmates from around the world. Start your course path today at theworkroomchannel.com. If you've listened to the podcast, you know how much I've learned from Michelle Williams. And I think most of my guests have mentioned taking at least one of her classes or gotten coaching from her. Her business is Scarlet Thread Consulting. Michelle loves to work with creative business owners to help them understand all aspects of their business and to use their gifts and talents to make it profitable. Michelle is a strategic profitability coach certified in the Profit First methodology, and she can be reached at scarletthreadconsulting.com. I've also mentioned my membership with the WCAA, and I'm now a gold level sponsor. Where education, networking, visibility, and industry discounts are just a few of the benefits that are offered to our members, The Window Covering Association of America is the only national nonprofit trade association that's dedicated to the window coverings industry and the dealers, decorators, workrooms, designers, and installers that make up our membership. Join today at WCAA.org. WCAA, where you are never in business alone. I've also been extremely fortunate to be able to work with Merrill Y. Landis Ltd. It's a family-owned and operated custom workroom and product distribution company to the trade with over 70 years of experience. And in addition to their custom work, they offer a wide variety of decorative drapery hardware. They offer stout and flare 21 fabrics. They have Roman shade operating systems and assembly kits. They have motorization and workroom supplies, and they serve both designers and workrooms. And you can check out the MYL Advantage at mylLTD.com. Victoria, what have been some of the biggest challenges for you in these years? Besides the, economic downfall and the pandemic, which were huge challenges.
Yeah. I think it's just work. I'm a single mother. So I think I've always worked really hard. But then in some ways, my son is great. He understands that work ethos as well. Mm-hmm. But that I think that's probably been the main challenge is bringing up my son and working as well.
Yeah.
So, but then, it's just so rewarding in so many other ways. It's really, I think that's probably the main challenge. But yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm curious about what your definition of success is.
I think for me it's not purely financial. For me, it's a mixture of being able to create something from within yourself, mm-hmm. and to be able to. I think it's really important in life to enjoy what you do. So if you can turn that into a business, for me, that's successful.
Yeah.
And if you can make a living out of it, it's really, I think that's, and also just being able to, I think it's just running your business running your own business is so different to, I think, working for people. And for me, it's just an amazing achievement. I think it's the word achievement to be able to be able to do that, to run your own business and make a living out of it and doing something that you really enjoy. To me, that's success. It's really.
Victoria, I seldom hear people define success as a monetary value. Yes. I mean, you're earning a living, you're supporting yourself and your son. That is a financial necessity, but doing something that you love and teaching people how to do something that they love and can then go and support themselves on, that is a different level of definition of success. But very rarely does anyone say that it's just about the money. It usually is about either life balance or the ability to use their creativity to make things, but very seldom is and if money is part of their definition, it's only part of it. It's not their
I think it's
definition.
To be happy. To be able to,
exactly.
Like you say, life balance. Yeah, it's really.
Do you have any one thing in your business that you consider the greatest success so far?
I think that it's just, I've really done so many things with the business. I think it's just being able to pass on my expertise, as it were. I love doing that. It's really, and I think that comes with years of experience.
Yeah.
So and it's so I think from me to be able to be in that position is great. I love that. So it's really,
I love that,
and helping people. Yeah.
So you mentioned delegating, and as your business has grown from the fabrication end of it, but also you can't do everything in the teaching part of it alone. You need help. You said you're having it filmed professionally, all of those things. So letting go and delegating also means that sometimes mistakes get made. And I'd be curious to hear how you handle mistakes for yourself and what happens when someone who works for you makes a mistake. How do you handle those and move forward?
It's really hard to, so I've never outsourced, as it were.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's really hard when it is your own business, it's your baby, to almost let
Yes.
go of that. It's your reputation.
Yes.
It's, you want everything to be right as well.
Yes.
So I have probably not been very good at, I've had people working for me, but actually just letting go sometimes. It's almost like I have to oversee everything.
Yes.
And so it's really having people that you trust, that you can work with to do that. But when it comes to manufacturing, again, that comes with someone can be, and I can see, when people are training with me, I can see the potential so much. But again, it comes with experience, so it's working on projects, trial and error. But if they're, everyone's going to make mistakes. It's just how you just turn it around. We're all human at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think clients understand that, as long as you just, there's a solution, then you just make sure it's all okay.
Yeah.
But we will make mistakes. Yeah.
Always a solution.
Yeah.
Has anyone who's ever taken any courses from you been local enough to work for you? Has that happened at all?
It's actually, funny enough, it's something that I have so many ideas about the business still, in which direction it can go. But this is a direction I'm now considering, is starting a whole manufacturing team of people, with people that I've trained. So yeah, it's I've had people that have worked for me in the workroom that I've trained, have done the courses, so they'll come on the course. And that's the best way for them to learn, really. It's obviously come on the course. So yeah. But yeah, I don't feel that there's competition, really. People often say, do you feel like you're training up your competition?
Right.
But I just think there's enough room for people to find their own niche, as it were. And It's great. You can help each other out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have found that to be true here in the United States as well. And people who listen to the podcast have heard me say many, many times that if it were not for those people who were physically near me, that I became friends with, I would not have stayed in business. They supported me and helped me in ways that, I never could have gotten through without them.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate, and I do realize that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think in this industry, people really do want to help each other.
Yes.
They really do. And you see it a lot on forums. I've got a forum, I think it's got like 400 members of ex-students, as it were. They really support each other and mentor each other. And, it's people have been in that position before. So, how do I build a curtain table? How do I, where's the best place to buy this? Or
someone's experienced it, and you might as well get their help and expertise rather than going through it the hard way yourself.
Yeah, people that this just wasn't that available when I started out. There was just, it's quite lonesome in a way.
Yes.
And there is so much support out there now. It's a huge community.
Yes.
And I've been listening to some of your podcasts as well. And I just think it's amazing what you have there. It really is, how you all support each other.
I agree. And I have not worked in any other industry for a long time, but when I do talk to friends and family members, I don't think that this same mindset exists in most industries. I think we are very fortunate that those of us who do what we do for a living can reach out to other people and get that kind of support. I think it's amazing. Victoria, do you have any books or classes that you've taken that have significantly helped you?
There is. We have some people here called Merrick and Day.
Yes, I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah, so the encyclopedia book was like my Bible, as it were, when I first started out. There are I love going to secondhand stores and buying books, and have a whole library of books. But it's really, they all show different instructions, but it's just, I've now started, I've only just really started listening to podcasts, and I've only just started really looking at YouTube, on Instagram a lot. So I see a lot happening on there, and I'm just amazed by what's happening, that people are being really open with what they're, producing.
Right.
But really, my what started me out was that course I went. I went on that curtain course many years ago. I'd love to be able to take some time out and do more courses, actually. So yeah.
Okay. So you're always learning too.
Yeah, and I learn from people that come on the courses. That really, I learn a lot myself. And because there is so much information out there, they're researching loads as well. So
right.
one talks about it. I mean, I learn from people coming on my courses all the time.
Okay.
Listen to this podcast, read that book, that's a motivation book. I have a pile of books I still need to read. But I learn from them. I think, I think it's really important to keep learning.
Agreed.
And be aware of what's going on, definitely.
Okay.
That we don't really have, I think, as in a good source, but as in instructions, it's not really, I think American Day sort of stand out above, all the others, as it were. Here. Yeah.
Okay.
Do
you use much technology in your business? I know you mentioned the importance of your website and the filming. So I guess breaking it apart, do you use much technology in your workroom, or do you use much technology in the teaching part of your business?
I think I've just self-taught myself really with the whole website design. I'm now learning all about doing a video set up in the workroom.
Yeah.
I just bought one of these fancy lights, filming lights. So it's learning about technology, how to set up that whole. I'm doing a lot of research on that, and then the editing work involved. It's really the way forward.
Yeah,
it is the way, and there's a demand for it. So it's just really, so much you can teach yourself and try and learn, but it's important to learn from those that know.
Yeah. So, and it amazes me, like you said, you can go on YouTube and in a couple of instances, I've needed some editing advice very quickly. But then you start to watch these YouTube videos and you're like, oh, there's a whole lot more to this.
I know, so much out there.
I need to learn.
Yeah. No, it is. Also, I just wish someone would advise me how to do it the right way. Yeah, there's so much out there.
And I'm happy to pay for that learning. I just don't know where to go for it sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And I think that definitely the technology is a video side, the video production side, as it were, learning how to do that setup yourself and the editing work. So
do you, when someone comes to your course and they spend a week with you, do they get all of the lessons on video, or is that a separate purchase?
They get basic at the moment. They'll get 50% discount, but they also get some free tuition as well with that. I invested hugely on the online courses. It's almost no need to. Yeah.
That is not a small thing to do. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
No, definitely. But then there are people who haven't been on the courses that are tapping into those online courses as well, which is great.
Okay.
But yes, there's definitely lots of benefits. To having to come on the course. They will. But I'm also looking at ways now of increasing the whole community, having a source library, as it were.
Right.
Lots of just a whole library of information in there that people when they come on the courses can tap into.
Okay.
Well. And so many people are doing that. It's really. It's just but it's just another side to the business.
Right.
Yeah.
One more thing to have your brain spinning about, right?
Yeah.
Victoria, what 3 business items could you not live without?
As in makeup, making up, manufacturing.
Yes.
You may use it there. There's a ruler. We just call it the measuring ruler. it's 60 centimeters wide, 15 deep. I'm not sure what that is in inches, but really that's a tool that I use all the time.
Yeah.
It's made
There is
by,
someone who makes it in the States it's the ruler is as wide as my table. And I'm not sure how many inches deep it is, but it's a substantial ruler. And I just like you, I use it frequently.
yeah, all the time. And on the courses, literally they're introduced to it straight away. It takes a while to learn how to work with it.
Okay.
But I think it's very similar to a quilting ruler as well.
Okay.
It's different, but a lot of people say, oh, I've seen this as in a quilting ruler.
Okay.
But that's really I would say the main thing that I would work with.
Okay.
What else? I'm trying to think. Obviously, a tape measure as well. It's really, a tape measure. So that's really important. I'm always carrying a tape measure around. I think it's the essentials, the measuring tools as well. A great sewing machine that need a proper sewing machine. In order to be able to work, it's like a builder needs a really, great drill, as it were.
Yeah, the tools are important. They really are.
Yeah, definitely. So those are things I couldn't work without. But then almost I have some tools that I've had for 20 odd years, that I still use. Yeah.
I'm always intrigued by what people like to use in their workrooms and what some of their favorite tools are. And I am kind of a gadget girl and love to collect those things. So sometimes when I see someone using something like, oh, I have to have one of those.
I'm a bit opposite. So people often bring with them different gadgets, or they say, we've seen this, like the invisible pens and
yes,
like that, or the air, erasing pens.
Yeah.
But I tend to keep minimal, that's just me. That's the way I work.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Victoria, do you ever sew for pleasure? Just for you?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I love doing it. I love, I think really more with my son, we do a lot together as well. So, his school costumes, or if it's, I remember making bunting for him and things like that. So it's more together we'll create. I just generally really enjoy sewing. That's just, part of it. I wish I had more time,
Yes. That's why I asked the question, because I know for a lot of us, and you've mentioned the creativity being important to you and all of it. And I do know that sometimes when we get started with this passion that we have, it stops becoming something we get to do for fun and becomes just our business and nothing else. So I always love to ask that question.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, working against the clock all the time, and finishing, the deadline had to be fitted by Christmas Eve, so everyone's sitting around the table. And this is when it becomes not so enjoyable, when you're under that pressure the whole time.
Yes.
So yeah, it's nice to work on a project, with a lovely trimming or something, that's when I really enjoy doing it. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to make?
I think I really like making cushions, like pillows. I have a lot of cut-offs, so lovely trimmings as well. I collect a lot of trimmings, but it's just trying to, so I don't know, I'm really into at the moment doing this whole it's become really popular here, this whole relaxed look. I know that it's very popular there, but like the London blinds with the ribbons, lots of embellishments at the moment. So it's just more working with maybe making a blind with a beautiful embellishment or ribbon overlay. So I really enjoy doing something like that. If it's for my own house, it's really or for clients as well. It's just doing something a bit different as well.
Yeah, and I think I know for a while I was doing a lot of the same thing: no trims, no embellishments, and Roman shades. And one of the designers that I work for loves to make beautiful pillows. And so, I never know what kind of trim she's going to find for me. And I love that. I'm not always fond of a challenge. But I do love when I get to work with beautiful trims, or she has an idea for something that's a little bit different. That's always fun to do.
Yeah, it's great. And so many fabrics are different, aren't they? So almost when you start
Yes.
feeling the fabric, you know how it's going to behave, you know,
Yes.
and you feel this excitement when you know
Mhm.
the fabric's going to look great. You want to see how it hangs and yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Victoria, what do you do extremely well?
Um, I think I mean I think I'm good at teaching. I think that's really, you know, so many people in life are good at things, and
Yeah.
that's just, you know, I'm really good at working with people, understanding people. Um, I think that's my strength, is you never know who's walking through your door. It's being able to
Right.
relate to people
Right.
and making them feel comfortable. It's important. Quite a warm person, so
Mhm.
when someone's there, it's just making sure, just tapping into making them feeling really comfortable. I think I'm good at doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting because you mentioned people having different learning styles. And I think that that is an important thing for a teacher to be aware of. That, I mean,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm old enough that when I went to school, everyone was taught exactly the same way. And if you didn't get it, it was your problem, not the school's problem or the teacher's problem.
Yeah,
And
they take time. Yeah.
when I'm in an
Being aware of that. Yeah.
yes, yes. And as you said, making people feel comfortable in the environment, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's constant positivity, constant reassurance. You know, you can
Yes.
um and you become, when you've done it so many times, you become so aware of how someone, you know, if they're feeling comfortable or they're not feeling comfortable. Again, it's at that light bulb moment
Yeah.
of, this person is now feeling comfortable, they're starting to believe in themselves and trust in what
Right.
they're doing. So
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, I think, yeah, that's probably my strength, is
I love
understanding.
that. What do you not do so well?
um I think we're talking about before, maybe not so good at delegating, as it were.
Okay.
And managing my accounts is just really,
Okay.
yeah, it's,
I, I hear
I
that
need to train
frequently.
myself. Yeah, that's probably my, and lots of people say to me, you know, a lot of creatives are like that. They sort of put the accounts to the side. And
Yeah.
I do have a good accountant for this reason. It's just,
Yes.
I don't enjoy it at all. Don't enjoy numbers.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I
So yeah.
do hear it frequently, but every once in a while, one of my guests will explain that they see things in the financial aspect of their business in a creative way. And now I'm always intrigued by that. I'm not that person. I really have to work at it. I know how important it is. I've learned to delegate in that area too. But sometimes people surprise me and say, "Oh yeah, I love a good spreadsheet."
That's what I was about to say, spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And they can, they'll they'll say to me, we've been on this course and we've tried to work out how to do it for themselves after the course, and they've put everything into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I could just use Excel basically. So I'm in awe of people that, you know, can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
What?
for them, that's how they feel that they can move forward, having done
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
recorded everything.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. But then curtain making involves drapery and like involves so much calculations as well. That's what it's all about.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I kind of regret not paying more attention in school for math because it's not my strong point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victoria, what about you would surprise people?
Oh, I don't know. Um, Maybe that's really hard to say. I don't know actually.
Everybody has an answer.
Um,
That's okay if you don't.
no. Um, I don't know. Maybe I think in time I like to work hard and play hard as well. So I like to, I'm quite social. I like to travel a lot. And
Mhm.
maybe I think people think maybe I'm just working, but actually I'm, you know, out there
Gotcha. Yes.
as well. You know, just having a nice time. I like to have fun as well. So yeah, and I think a lot of people maybe think that I don't, but yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah. And,
What would you say you love best about teaching these skills to people?
um, it's really, I think it's just really bringing that. I think what's really, really, really important, and we have it here, it just goes through generations of people, is to just to keep that craft going, that traditional craft.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that just tops everything to keep that alive.
Okay.
And when every time I'm thinking about it, I just think just being able to keep that going as well. And there is a much younger generation coming through now. I see it quite a bit, and people. And I just
Wonderful.
love that. I absolutely love that. So, seeing people who, that's going to be the future, as it were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So seeing that people are actually seeing this as a trade that they can, make a really good business out of, and they can bring so much more to it as well.
Right.
So I think that's what I love most about what it is, really the traditional craft, as it were, and skills and techniques and methods are I feel I'm showing people, and it's just spreading that, spreading.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's just keeping that going.
Okay.
And I think anybody can work and do it if they want to do it. It's really, it's.
You do have to want to do it, because as you
have to want to do it. Yeah.
It's hard work to own your own.
You have to work hard.
Yeah, you do have to work hard. This isn't something where you get to sit back and let someone else do the work. I agree with you. What do you like least about the teaching aspect of your business?
I think it's quite, you really get to know people, and it's really lovely. And I think particularly when they return back on courses, we run various courses, but kind of the last course, as it were, course 3. And then often people are seeing each other they have seen on previous courses. It's the saying goodbye. For me, it is, because you really bond. I've got a dog, a Labrador, who's all part of this as well. Sort of like a fan. So it's just it's almost letting people go. It's really, even though it's hard to keep in contact with everybody.
Yes, it is.
But I think for me, that's the hardest. I remember that feeling going traveling, actually, is meeting people traveling and feeling, I may not see them again. It's that kind of thing.
Yes, I don't think I've ever thought of that before, but you're right. I'm feeling it as you're talking about it. That would be terrible.
Yeah, but it is. It's just, and often they say the same thing. It's like, we really want to continue to do this.
Yeah.
It's really, so I think, it's, and people, because they're not close by as well, a lot of the people,
right.
It's difficult to maintain those relationships, which is why I'm wanting to build more of a community.
Okay. Okay.
But that's probably the hard. Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know that I ever thought about that, but you are absolutely right.
Yeah, because when you're working in the industry, there's people around you all the time, like your suppliers and people you're working with. But So,
in what ways do you think you're resilient?
I think I'm really. I keep picking myself up all the time. So whatever happens, it's when you're running a business, you have to be resilient.
Yeah.
And it's, even if you've failed at something, it's just picking yourself back up.
Yeah.
Finding another way of making it work. That's what I'd say. I'm very
okay.
like that.
So I know that, are you on Facebook and Instagram, or just Instagram?
On both. Instagram's, I post more on Instagram.
Okay. I'll put links to that and your website as well, so that people can take a look at what you have to offer. And I could talk to you for a whole lot longer, but it's the end of your day. So I want to let you go. Two things to finish up. One, what advice would you give to someone starting out in the soft furnishings industry?
It's just really, it's working hard, but it's believing that you can do it.
Yeah.
It's believing in yourself, and believing that you can charge, the going rate, as it were.
Yes.
I think it's really, we can be our own worst enemy, as it were. So I think it's just really, it's okay to make mistakes. You learn from them. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my advice. Believe in yourself.
Yeah. Because I think that, especially if someone has come into this with some sewing skills, this is a whole different way to use those skills, and knowing how to hand stitch a patch on something is not the same as doing a mitered corner or making a cushion or any of those things. And I think that the making of mistakes sometimes is intimidating to people. I'm thinking, oh, I don't know as much as I think I should. So that confidence of knowing that your skill is valuable, I think, is so important, Victoria.
Yeah, it is, honestly, and it comes with having done a few projects and having gone and done all the fit in, and
Yes.
like that feeling is amazing. So it's remembering that feeling that you've done that and you've achieved that, and
Yes.
yeah,
And you can do it again.
do it again. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have neglected to ask this question a number of times. Do you have a business or fabricating tip for the listeners?
There's one thing that I always say to people to start out with is when you first start working with fabric, is to cut on the straight grain and not the pattern line.
Okay. I
To
see
make
that
sure
come
that
up
the fabric
a
is on
lot.
straight grain.
Yes.
And you get pattern drift, but yeah, it can make the fabric behave differently. But I think that's just one of the main tips is really make sure the fabric's on the straight grain, and then when you cut and make up, yeah.
Thank you, Victoria. This has been an absolute pleasure for me. I enjoyed hearing about what you're teaching and what you're doing. Thank you for what you're sharing with your students. I think it's really important going forward. I'm loving seeing the younger people and people who are starting a second career who might not be so young but are still coming into this. I really value that you're helping to teach them. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time to talk with me
Thank
today.
you, Sil. Honestly, it's amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Thank you.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed talking with Victoria about the evolution of her business, how her workroom expanded to include teaching and became Master Soft Furnishers. I'll put a link to her website in the show notes. Again, just the joy that she has about teaching shows on her face when she's talking. And I really enjoyed seeing that with her and hearing about her experience with her students. I really hope that you enjoyed hearing from Victoria today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.